Hello, I'm Mrs. J, and welcome to my math class. Today we're going to look at fractions, decimals, and percents, switching back and forth. So I'm going to start with a fraction first. If you have a fraction and you want to get a decimal, you need to divide it. You need to take the top divided by the bottom. Remember, the denominator goes on the outside. And we know 5 will not divide into 3, so we need to put a decimal and bring that up. And then 5 goes into 30 6 times. So 6 times 5 is 30. So our decimal is 0.6. Now, to go from a decimal to a percent, or a fraction to a percent, you need to multiply by 100. Or if you have a decimal, you just move it to the right 2. But we're multiplying by 100. So we take 0.6 times 100. That's 2 zeros, that moves it over 2 to 60%. But you need to, depending on what you have, be able to write it in any form. So if we had 25% and we wanted to write it as a decimal, you have to do the opposite. We need to divide by 100. So it would be 25 over 100. Oh, wait, that would be the fraction. And then we can reduce this by dividing the top and bottom by 25. Get 1/4. So 25% is 1/4. To get the decimal, we moved this one this way too to get this. So then you go back to, or divide it by 100, and you'll get 0.25. Okay, let's try starting with the decimal. So if we have 0.5, and we know the percent already how to get that, we just move the decimal to the right 2, and we get 50%. What we're doing is multiplying it by 100. Now the fraction, since this is 1 decimal place, that would be the same as 5/10, because if you read this, this is the tenths position. This one needed to go over 100 because it was 2 decimal places, 25 hundredths. But this one only have to go over tenths, and then we can reduce this by dividing by 5 and get 1/2. Mostly we go with fraction and decimals, or we do decimals and percents in most problems when we're talking about interest rate. But you do need to be able to manipulate them back and forth. How about 1? The decimal, I always don't want, well, it would still be 1. Because there's nothing to divide. I guess that's not as good an example, but I wanted to show you what happens when you see the percent, because if we multiply this by 100, we get 100%. So 100%, the decimal and the fraction would be the same. So if the fraction is a whole number, your decimal is a whole number. It's the same thing. But 100% then would look like that. And that's it for fractions, decimals, and percents. Thank you. Bye. Okay, you're using up my time.